ZombieTech. Welcome to ZombieTech, a forum for engineers, scientists, and inventors to ponder on the technologies needed to survive the inevitable zombie apocalypse.
She's Eddie.
He's Whisker.
And who do we have this week? Well, we've been intending to have this person on for
a long time,
year and a half or so.
Yes, it's true.
So,
we are talking to Jessica Uelmen, engineering manager at Parallax and co-founder of Dweeb Den, and also podcaster on the Nerdy Show. Is it Nerdy Show or The Nerdy Show?
It's just Nerdy Show.
Nerdy Show. Got
yes.
it. Excellent. So, hi.
Hey.
What is up?
Not a whole lot. Just hanging out. Was watching some Doctor Who. So
awesome. My favorite character is when Rory was the Centurion. I bawled like a baby.
Yes.
I was just like, this, just teardrop.
The only problem with that show is that they don't actually have a real-time machine so that you can go in the future just to watch all of the Doctor Who episodes that haven't come out yet.
True.
Yeah, that's very
That's a very
disappointing.
good point.
It's a very long wait.
So, well, and is it done now for a while, or are they
it should be picking back up this month, actually. The rumors are circulating.
Oh, very cool. Good,
So,
good.
yeah.
Good to know. So, okay, not about Doctor Who, but about you, because you are like the focus today. So what ended up drawing you to engineering? And then how did you end up getting to Parallax?
So for engineering in general, I always had an aunt that worked for IBM as a software engineer.
Okay.
And so she was always, getting me to pursue technical fields, and I was always really good with computers, the family tech support and all of that. But never really considered engineering. I had dreams of being on Broadway at the time. So, but then got to college and decided that, after I graduated, I'd really like to make money and do, something fun.
Right.
So I went to the University of Central Florida, changed my major to computer science, then decided I didn't want to be a code monkey. So that's where I found the electrical engineering technology program, which they said was a hands-on interaction between electronics and programming, which I thought was great and perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed up for that program, was really liking it after the first few semesters, so I decided to stick with it. And then actually in my microcontroller 2 class, we got introduced to the propeller. Yeah. So my professor really liked it, thought it was a really awesome chip, but didn't actually have any time to learn it. So he figured if I put it on the course syllabus, I'll actually have to learn it.
Nice.
And he also knows Chip really well.
Okay.
And so at the end of the class, Chip did a tour of Parallax, and I was like, hey, that looks like a really awesome place to work. I wonder if they're hiring.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, and here I am.
Amazing. Awesome.
So for those of you who don't know, the propeller is a microcontroller made by Parallax and designed by a dude named Chip, which is like the best name
Awesome.
ever for a
Yeah.
dude that makes
So
chips for a
made
living. Yeah. So we use it all the time here. We build all sorts of things with it here in the studio. So we're very familiar with it. We
Yep.
do another show all about it where Addie learns how to use it
Yep.
for spin.tv.
So you're right now the engineering manager at Parallax. What
Correct.
does that mean? And have you had to forego some hands-on design time, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. So as, the running joke is people told me when I, started with the position, they said it's a lot like herding cats. And it's actually quite true. So it's really just making sure all of our products are, designed to Parallax standards and released in a timely manner.
Sure.
So it's a lot of time spent with the engineers, making sure things are getting done and we're not feature creeping and all of that, that good stuff. But as the other part of my job is I travel a lot, and I do what Ken, who's the president of the company, likes to say, technology evangelism for Parallax. So I go to a lot of conferences and I talk to a lot of people and try and get some business development in there as well. So it's kind of an all hands.
Yeah.
Sure.
We were going to do this episode with Jessica much
Before
earlier,
the
but
expo maybe.
she does a lot of these conferences, except the one that we went to that was right at her home
Right.
base.
I
She
know.
wasn't there that
I
weekend.
One hosted by Parallax.
I know. We're like, what?
Yeah, you can
But-
you can blame my best friend from high school.
So
It's actually a trend with Parallax events. The first unofficial Propeller Expo, my roommate from college got married.
oh boy.
And then this one, my best friend from high school got married.
So
So,
who's next year?
How long
then?
do you think it'll take Ken to realize that you're bribing your friends to schedule
Yeah,
things
right?
specifically?
hey guys, plan the wedding for this day.
So I know. So you're just talking about like going around doing conferences. Is that mostly for like corporate, or is it like a 50-50 between corporate clients and like educational outreach?
I would say it mainly heads towards the educational outreach
Okay.
makersphere, because that's where I really like to hang out. So my passion is education.
Sure.
One of my other career or majors in college when I was trying to figure things out was actually teaching. It's always been a real passion of mine. I actually used to make my brother and sister learn from me in the summertime, which you can imagine they absolutely love.
Of course.
So this wasn't like you're going to do this and have a good time or else situation?
No,
Pretty much.
it-
And,
yeah, it
they'd
was.
complain to my mom, but my mom would be like, hey, you're learning. I don't care.
Now, does that mean that your siblings are like have steered away from engineering, or like
No, actually. So my dad was also a mechanical engineer. So my brother is pursuing environmental engineering, but my sister is studying to be a marine biologist.
dude?
So she kind of went away from the engineering.
So you've got,
that's
that's a pretty good collection
still
of
a good
things. You
collection,
guys
yeah.
could really sort of pull off the whole zombie apocalypse survival thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
You got the
I
right
think
skill sets going on there at home.
And I think you influence their choices by teaching them, when they're kids. I think. Yeah. So, what do you find the general reception of these educational, like, I think it's soldering a lot of times, right? Like the
Mhm.
S2 badges.
Yes, yeah. So we introed those at the Propeller Expo, and it was a huge hit. And
Mhm.
now we pretty much do them everywhere because I mean, who doesn't want to learn how to solder? I mean,
Right.
it's pretty awesome.
I have a story about those that you missed out because you weren't there, obviously. So I was taking some video of for
Oh, it
our
was
video
epic.
show, Toymaker Television, at the expo with Addie working on soldering up one of these simple little how to solder S2 badges.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Super cute,
she's
by the way.
soldering away, whatever. And sitting next to her is Joe Grand.
Right.
And Joe Grand is, he designed more DEF CON badges than anybody in history.
yeah.
So this is a dude that knows about badge soldering, okay? And on the other side of me is Mark Van de Wettering from Pixar, who does a lot of like electrical
Esoteric
hobbyist, like building ham radios from discrete
Nothing.
components.
MacGyver
Uh-huh.
parts.
Right. Okay. So Addie finishes in like 10 minutes flat, and hers works perfectly. And both those guys messed theirs up.
Twice.
They
I
had
think.
they had to set up a rework station on the end of the table just to figure out how they'd messed it up and repair it. And of course, Ken Gracie's watching and he's laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
It was epic.
Well, it's good that they reworked it. Normally, we just hand people a new badge. like, it's too much work to rework.
I think it'd have been too embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
So it seems like those badges have been like all over the place now. I keep seeing them pop up on the Twitter feed at various like conferences and events, and lots of like tents full of kids soldering them up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did it at the U.S. Science and Engineering Fest in Washington D.C. And we've done it in a bunch of local events. Joe ran a DEF CON Kids session with them as well, which was a huge
Awesome.
hit.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just traveling the country. It's just really easy. So and people really like it. It walks away and it blinks.
Mm-hmm.
But version 2.0 will actually have to move, I think, because that's the major disappointment with people, because they're like, what does it do? It's like, you're looking at it. It blinks.
It blinks. Actually,
like, it doesn't roll or move.
Oh, but it's
like,
pretty
no.
impressive. Like the LED itself is impressive. I was like, whoa, it's all in one package.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I loved it. But if next year at the Parallax Expo it rolls, I will totally like that too.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. And do you think that, in all of going around to these different places and meeting these kids who I assume are solder virgins, do you end up thinking that there's more that we can do, or is this as good a start as we can get?
I think so. For big events, I think this is really as good a start that it can get because it's just the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll take, newbies or, kids about, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on actually really how overbearing the parent is.
That's great.
So, I mean, just for time's sake, I think that it's a really great first project. Otherwise, we just run into a situation where we would just have people taking up the table,
right,
for an hour or so. And then people will get angry because there's a line and they've been waiting and then the conference closes. And so.
Right. Well, that makes sense. And then, I guess in terms of like general education for kids, like how early do you think we should start? What kind of things should we be teaching kids in order for them to have an interest in, let's say electrical engineering, since that's, where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do you think we start with all of that? Or should we?
Well, I think it really just starts, I mean, even with toys and, as being a toddler, like maybe a little robot toy or something that they can maybe take apart and put together, like, with like the Duplos or really anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just comes from that innate, desire to want to take apart and learn and build something.
Mm-hmm.
But then we've seen people with kids around like 6 years old, parents teaching them how to program in the graphical interface of the S2.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, really, you can start pretty young.
Sure.
Getting that foundation in. And I think it's really just encouraging parents to let their kids take things apart or make mistakes or whatever, because that's what I hear a lot from other people. That was their experience as a kid, was taking things apart or fixing them. And I didn't really have that. And I think if I had that, I would have gotten interested in electronics a lot early.
Before the Broadway singing.
Right.
Gotcha.
I might have even just foregone that completely.
Never.
Seems like a lot of people in our age group and older got into it despite their parents. I took things apart, but not because my parents encouraged me to.
Yeah. See, I was also that goody two shoes, like straight A, follow every rule. So I was not going to get in trouble in any way, shape, or form. So
sure.
I towed the line.
They should make kits for kids to take apart.
They make these cool little electronic kits. They did when I was a kid anyway, where it's basically just a giant breadboard with all sorts of different places where you can plug components into and little projects that you can build, like AM receivers and stuff like that.
Was it like
they
Heath
still
kits
have
or
those.
What's that?
Heath kit?
Well,
stuff,
their Heath kits are going to be coming back too, which are more advanced, but very, very cool. And yeah, I'm sure any aspiring little EE or EET would just love to have one of those growing up.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I see. So I did have a couple questions about Parallax in general before we move on to your own projects. Is Parallax considered open source hardware?
Yes. So that's actually one of so we have an open source hardware page. I forget the URL because I'm a terrible employee, but I think it's like parallax.com/open source hardware. It's probably something easy like that.
Yeah.
Where we have a lot of products that are open source, like the S2 robot's open source, the Spinneret web server is open source. And we're really trying to open source more products. It's just a matter of resources.
Okay.
Because really we released a lot of products before the whole open source movement really started happening.
Sure.
So now it's going back and releasing things and meeting the criteria that make something quote unquote open source.
And do you guys have like that little stamp, I guess, with the open source logo?
Yes. Yeah. And we put it on any product page that is open source.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and the quick start, the propeller quick start is also open source.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know personally I've gone into the dip trace files on that several times and
Mhm.
take a look at how things are laid out, just because I wanted to electrically do something and I wanted to know exactly how it was.
Right.
So it's useful.
Yeah.
Like tapping directly into the USB
And I
power
think,
line.
I mean, like, I am not fully up on what the exact criterion are for being considered open source, but I know for a lot of the products, the design files are all available, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that's good enough. Like, if I could just source those items, then I'd be able to make the board kind of, sort of myself, right? So, I mean, how much more open source do
you've got different definitions groups out there, and
Yeah.
a lot of these people are represented at the what's the thing on the East Coast, the Open Source Hardware Summit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the warring groups are sort of playing out their battle over there so that they can standardize what exactly constitutes open source hardware.
Yeah.
But honestly, what constitutes it to me is that it's not patented, it's not copyrighted. Here you go, here's the files. Yay. I don't care what logo's on it, as long as I can get to the information I need.
Yep. I think so.
Right. Yeah. And we run into some other problems too, in that we do all of our design work in Altium.
Mm-hmm.
And then we run into situations like with the Propeller BOE where we would like to open source it, and we do, but it's a 6-layer board.
Oh.
So DipTrace, the free license, only covers up to 4 layers. So it's kind of that toss-up where here's the PCB file, but you're not going to be able to see anything unless you pay for DipTrace. So
I see.
And technically, most of the open source logos, you're not even supposed to put them on unless the software that you use to design it is completely free, like KiCad or something like that.
Right.
Oh, I see.
But you're getting into
that's pretty stringent.
You're getting into that sort of semantics, right?
Right.
It's like, it's open, here you go, you can have it, but some people won't consider that open because they don't have that particular software that can work with the source files. What would really make all this go away is good translationary software that can convert cleanly between the formats.
Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm.
But everybody's got their design software all locked down proprietary style, so it's not really possible right now.
I don't know. I think that's I almost feel like that's a little overkill. You can't expect everybody to have every software.
Well, a lot of people who are involved in open sourcing the hardware were also involved in open sourcing the software, and you've got different camps over there, and it seems like the guys who are interested in making it very strict are the same guys on the other side that would be interested in, say, GNU style license instead of an MIT style license or a BSD style license.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's all very,
Although
I don't know how many of our listeners are interested in that stuff.
Yeah. Although most, I believe, of Parallax's codes, like their objects, are all MIT licensed.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
I like the MIT license. It's basically, here, you can do whatever the heck you want with this.
Right. Cool. And on our show, so the audience that we have, there's a lot of folks who know of Parallax because we talk about it a lot, but have never actually worked with them. So let's say you had a few minutes to talk about Parallax to like an Arduino lover or someone who's never heard of it or who has heard misinformation about it. What would you tell them?
There's a really big podium for you. Go.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Gosh. Soapbox mode on, I guess. Well, so I like our tagline that we came up with a while ago, actually, friendly microcontrollers, legendary resources. So we're a microcontroller and robotics company. We do a lot of our own design work and IP. We do our own chip design. And we try and document things as well as we can so that everything is as easy to use as possible. And the less questions that you need to ask, the better. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of passionate people that work at Parallax who absolutely love what we do, and we love our community. And yeah, I guess that's about it.
Okay.
That's a little awkward, but anyway.
That's cool.
Off, but
that's cool. And do you personally work mostly with the propeller or the stamp, basic stamp, or both?
So these days it's starting to be more propeller. So I had used the propeller a lot in college. I'd used it in that microcontroller class and then also for my senior design project.
Cool.
And then I came to Parallax and started supporting the basic stamp in our education program because the basic stamp is still very big in education.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was working with that more. And now I'm starting to do more propeller development now that we have the GCC compiler, and schools are happy about that.
Sure. And for those who aren't familiar with those chips, the basic stamp, I have actually no knowledge. Like, I don't know a thing just about the basic stamp because I've never even seen it.
That's fine.
Yep.
Right. So, but for those who are listening, a basic understanding of stamp versus propeller. How about that?
Okay, yeah. So the basic stamp was actually one of our first microcontrollers. It was released, I don't remember the date, in the early 90s.
Okay.
It was one of Chip's first designs. So the basic stamp is programmed in a form of BASIC, so it's really easy to get started with, which is why we see it used a lot in middle school and high schools. It's a really great first programming language if you've never programmed before, because it's very readable, but you start to get that, the syntaxing and get a feel for how, conditional statements and if loops and those kinds of things work.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the propeller is completely different. It's our own custom silicon designed by Chip Gracie, as we said before. And it's what we call a multi-core microcontroller.
Okay.
So it has 8 different processors, which we call cogs, and which means it can do 8 different things all at the same time. And it can be programmed in either Spin, which is the language we developed specifically for the propeller, propeller assembly, or we just released a GCC compiler, so you can program in C or C++.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So that knocks out a lot of the misinformation out there about the prop.
Yep.
Yeah. You can achieve the same functionality as interrupts. There are multiple cores. You can program it in C.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just talked to a lot of people, and a lot of them sort of
Still,
they work with Arduinos, and they just don't get that
it
you can do
boggles
that
my mind.
much
I'm
better
like-
with the prop.
Right. Yeah, we hear it a lot too, and it's really surprising because people do get hung up on the interrupt thing,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't have interrupts.
Yeah,
But you
wait
don't need them.
PEQ, okay? Just
Right.
Wait,
there's a
PEQ,
bunch
wait,
of different ways to
PNE.
do it. So,
Yep.
you can do that same thing. And most of the time, because you have 8 processors, you don't need to do it.
Yep.
Right. And interrupts are so annoying to work with, so I don't know why it's a loss when you don't have them. But
If you learn how to code that way, I guess
Yeah.
you would like it that way. But yeah, when you add 8 processors, you sort of completely just change the rules of how everything works.
well, that's hard too. Is it's a different way of thinking, so it's hard for a lot of people to grasp. Is it something? There's 8 different processors that you can assign tasks to, and a lot of people then right off the bat assume it's incredibly complicated. Like, oh, it must be really hard to.
Yeah, because most programmers who work in C are used to dealing with a multi-threaded sort of architecture for
Right.
doing multiple things at a time, and that's just simply completely not how the propeller works.
Wait, so could you say
You can you can implement that sort of thing internally in one of those processors. You can sort of set off multiple logical threads that do time sharing, but you don't have to because you've got independent dedicated processors.
So let me ask. So then, would you say like PICs, Arduinos, other chips, or other microcontrollers are
The stamp
serial?
is a PIC, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
are serial in nature, whereas the propellers like parallel in nature? Could you say that?
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
So,
they're both obviously serial in the sense that
Well-
they do one instruction at a time.
Yeah.
That's just inherent to processor design. But the propeller has 8 of them doing it, so in that sense, it's
in that sense, it's
parallel.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Awesome. So we'll change gears just a little bit. Nerdy show.
Mhm.
What is it, and what do you guys talk about?
So Nerdy Show is an all-nerd podcast that was actually started by some friends of mine in college.
Ah.
And really, we just talk about anything nerdy. Comic books, movies, sci-tech,
Okay.
really anything. So I cover more of the, the sci-tech side. I run a column called Geek Cred, where I just talk about some of the projects and things that I personally work on.
Okay.
And then I also joined up with a new group that just started, another side part of Nerdy Show called the Gazetteers, which is an all-female nerd section to try and coax some other ladies out of the nerd woodwork and help give them a voice and say, join our discussion, because we find that it's, pretty much a male-dominated nerd world.
Sure.
That hasn't been my experience at all. In this house, it's pretty much 50-50.
Is it?
Yeah.
I do as much engineering as you do?
Yeah, I would say you probably do more than I do, considering, I get parts and then you steal them and you use them.
Your oscilloscope
and then I'm like,
is on my desk.
Where are they? And you're like, I don't know.
So then, file a UPS claim.
So what have you guys talked about zombies? Like any reflection on what would happen to you guys in the zombie apocalypse?
Yes. Yeah, there's actually a zombie survival guide episode.
Excellent.
Where Triforce Mike, who was a regular on the show, talked about his zombie apocalypse ideas and what would happen, because he was actually part of a zombie defense league in Orlando. And this is while we were in college, and they would meet at a comic shop every week and go over zombie defense tactics.
What?
All of that great stuff. So
what?
Yeah, it was pretty legit there. They were serious.
I'm a little taken aback by the weekly thing, but then I just remembered we do weekly ZombieTech podcasts, so right, I guess we're kind of in the same boat there.
Well, you are. To me, it's a metaphor.
No,
I think Addie's serious.
No, dude, you're gonna be caught flat on your butt, unprepared, if you don't think it's real.
But I will have gotten to talk to a whole bunch of cool people.
That is true.
Yeah.
I lived life.
That is very true.
So it's okay when the end comes. And
so let's see. And you just mentioned also Gazetteer, which was for all females or female. Yep. Is it female engineers or just female nerds in general?
That's sexist, Jessica.
I know.
So
I go back and forth between it, because, like, again, another one of my passions is trying to get girls into engineering, because talking to girls, I hear a lot of really depressing statements. Like, one girl told me that she couldn't become an engineer because her parents told her she would never find, or her mom told her that she would never find a husband.
What?
And that's just the most ridiculous statement to me.
She'd probably be more likely to find a husband being, like, the only woman in a department of 50 men or something.
Right. And they will all have a good paying job when they graduate. And, I've
seen the YouTube comments on Jessica's videos.
Oh, yeah. I have to delete quite a few, too, because they're not exactly family friendly.
Awkward. Awkward.
But
being a woman in engineering, that's a pretty, you got over at Adafruit, she's, like, put up on a pedestal. You got Jerry Ellsworth, she's put up on a pedestal. Jessica, obviously, put up on a pedestal. Addie,
I'm not yet on a pedestal.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm the noob. Noob for life.
But it just seems like...
I actually love the first spin stuff. I think it's really great and nice to see it from a beginner perspective. Because
and I like first spin in the sense that it's a woman learning how to do something, and we're not delicate at all about it, because it's so irritating to see every time.
This already.
Every time you see, like, anything involving women in engineering, it's all like eggshells, and I just can't stand that. It's because, like, okay, girls are smarter than guys typically. We don't need to pretend like they're frail and they can't figure this stuff out. Engineering is pretty easy for the female mind to comprehend. As soon as you stop pretending like there's some reason why they shouldn't be doing it. So we are absolutely fine with picking on, teasing, and it's fine.
Yeah, and I think it's great, and I think it's also refreshing to say, I don't know this, and admit that, instead of trying to, go around in circles and kind of try and talk the talk and BS your way into
pretending like you know what's going on, I guess.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you duck this. It is sexist to have only females podcast about nerdy stuff.
Well,
Yep.
okay. Let me ask. So, like, do you find have you had people respond to Gazetteers by saying, "Oh, thank God, there are others, other females who like nerdy things as well," or
Yeah, so we've actually had that from some forum posts from both girls and guys.
Okay.
Saying it's nice to hear, from the other side of the coin instead of just kind of all guys talking all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of also coaxes women to say, it's cool if you like Batman and you want to talk about it, whatever.
Right.
And not feeling like they have to really be into fashion and that whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's okay too. It's it's just, you should love what you love and not be ashamed of loving it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because there are, it really depends on what group you're in, so if you're in a group where Jerry Ellsworth is the boss, or you're the boss, or, Lady Ada, right? It's almost not, I don't know if it's natural, but it's natural for people to be like, oh yeah, female engineers, we got them. They're amazing.
Right.
Whoop-de-la-do, But then there are, of course, other areas of science or other areas of engineering where I don't know. Oh, you're the token. So we had to hire a female, so that's why you're here.
Right.
And I can imagine people saying that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I've had those comments made to me too.
Really?
Mainly by people from
Oh yeah, Jessica is totally just the pretty face for Parallax.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was just, the only reason you had so many job offers in this economy when you graduated from college was because you're a woman.
Yeah. It's all about the boobs.
That?
Yeah.
You got boobs, you got a free ticket.
Who said that?
I don't want to say.
Okay. Sorry. No. Sorry. Okay. No. Yeah. No names.
Right. Yeah. But it was. Yeah.
What day and age are we here? Right. Zombies. There's their target. Gosh.
We're trying to redirect their attention to other, enemies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get them talking about zombies instead of how women are invading our jobs.
They took our jobs.
Oh. So then are there do you guys differentiate between the topics you talk on Gazetteer as opposed to, say, Nerdy Show in general, or?
No, not really. I mean, we try and keep it broad. So our first one, we were talking about the downfall of toys and kind of how toy manufacturers are trying to dumb everything down.
Agreed.
And then for our second article, we just addressed the elephant in the room and got the sexism article out of the way.
Sure.
And then for our next one, we'll just be talking about our role models. So it's really, it's just under the Nerdy Show umbrella. But whereas the Nerdy Show podcast tends to be all guys talking, we'll just release articles and all that good stuff.
Gotcha. And okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to start listening because I'm very, especially to that sexism one, because I'm very interested in seeing what crap you guys have had to deal with. Because that's complete BS. I would go on a war path, I think, if anybody dared to try.
Is that Wellesley talking?
Yes.
I see.
Screw you all.
All men are bad. I see.
Yeah. Well, I had such a hard time with it, too, because, I really don't think that way, and I don't want to come off as, feminazi.
Right.
Because, I really haven't had that much bad experiences.
Right.
But so really I just kind of related it to the YouTube comments that I've gotten, and then just kind of turned it into a message of, don't listen to these jerks that are out there on Reddit or whatever. They're just trolling and they want attention and that's all they want. So don't feed it.
Yeah.
Just do what you want and to heck with whoever says anything bad.
Right. Because that's exactly whenever it's funny because whenever I'm watching an interview, say with Jerry or whoever, and they're like, so what's it like as a woman engineer?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does that mean? It means I'm an engineer, right. What do you mean? Well, how does it feel to be male and an engineer? It feels
Right.
like you know what I mean? Like, to me, that seems like a stupid question.
It is a stupid question.
Yeah. I think I would say I would counter it and be like, how does it feel to be a male in journalism?
Right. That's the perfect answer. It's like, that's a stupid question.
Right.
It feels like awesome. I don't know. Okay. All right. Before I get too fired up. Whew.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go off on that.
No, that's okay. This is fun. I like this. I don't get to talk to enough females on ZombieTech. It's awesome. How does it feel to be female and on ZombieTech?
Yeah, we definitely are. We're very prejudiced against getting females on here.
Why?
You know, because they're just such a pain, and you know.
I know. Like, we're so awful, but it's just like so amazing to be here.
You know, honestly, most of the best freaking guests we've ever have are all, you know, girls that are like nerdy chicks.
Hardcore.
Like Chef. Oh my God, so funny. She was like, you know, just random cook, and she's like got all these crazy ideas about the zombie apocalypse.
That's amazing.
And then Mira Grant, who's an author.
Who's like a virologist.
And writes books about zombie apocalypse.
And parasites.
So awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I don't know. This whole idea that girls can't do things that guys can do is
retarded.
absolutely silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I need help moving my big Hammond organs around the house, I call Addie.
It's true.
Because she's tougher than me.
Okay. So, Dweeb Den, how you are a co-founder.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this.
Yes.
Yes, I am.
What is it? Why'd you start it? All of that.
So I guess we start with the why. That kind of starts things off nicely. So I visited a hackerspace FamiLab in Orlando, since Florida is where I originally hail from.
Mm-hmm.
I had met them at Maker Faire, New York, and they invited me to come by the next time I was in town. So I went, did a little propeller presentation, and was just really amazed at the community and kind of the feel for the place. It just was inspiring to be there, and it made me want to make things because there were people there making cool things and, you know, giving me ideas to make cool things. And I was like, wow, there really should be, I really want to join one of these. And I should see if there's one in Sacramento. So I did a search and nothing came up. There were a couple that kind of started, but they seemed like they had fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, okay, if there's not one, I guess I should make one. Mm-hmm. And so I hopped on the crazy train and decided to start one here myself.
Awesome.
So did you go the for-profit route, or did you go through all the non-profit filing, all that stuff?
Yeah, we went through the nonprofit filing. We don't have our tax exempt status yet,
right.
So we're not taking any donations or anything right now, other than what we're putting into it. But we did get our articles of incorporation back, so we are, in the eyes of the state of California, a 501c3 California nonprofit.
Congratulations!
So thank you.
That's awesome.
We basically just used Noisebridge's articles of incorporation and submitted those, right? Because they made it easy.
Sure.
So
now, what's been the greatest challenge so far, and where do you think you'll need the most help in?
I would say time, really. I mean, because with travel schedules, it's really hard to keep kind of a consistent thing going, consistent meetings and all of that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's really going to be time and then more help. So it's really great to meet people and they're jazzed up and they say Sacramento really needs this and whatever we can do to help. But then when push comes to shove, it's really hard to get people to rally and to have them see this as a community thing, because I just keep telling people, like, if you just want to have a Dweeb Den event at your house or something, just schedule it, put it up for forums. Like, we don't have to schedule everything as founders. Like, we're just listed as founders for paperwork's sake. I mean, really, this is for everyone. Right. And that's really hard to get across, is kind of getting that feeling of you have the power to do whatever you would like. So do it. Right. And because we can't do everything. I mean, it's three of us, and it's really hard between all of our schedules.
Okay, so Dweeb Den, I assume you have some of your own projects that you're going to want to start or have already started. So
It doesn't sound like she has too much time for personal
Well,
projects.
I know. But just in case, let's just cover all the bases. Do you have any of your own projects that you're working on or have worked on?
Yeah, so I've really been getting into e-textiles recently.
Cool.
Just because I think it's cool to wear electronics and kind of take your geek cred on the go, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who says that actually, but you know.
you now have said it.
Yeah.
You have coined it.
Create your own reality.
Right. Yeah. People now say that. But so I made little bracelets and soldered some metal beads onto 0603 surface mount LEDs, which I was really proud of myself for.
Awesome.
And so for my next project, I'd like to do an audio equalizer skirt. So
Cool.
when I wear it to concerts and stuff, it'll look really, really cool.
Awesome. Now, let me ask something, because I've always wondered about e-textiles. Where do you keep the batteries? Is it just like button batteries?
Yeah, so what I've worked with has mainly just been the little 2032 coin cell. So like I made a little constellation bracelet with my astrological constellation, and that's what I use the surface mount LEDs for. And so then the battery's just on the inside of the part that's on top of my wrist.
Okay. And then the surface mount, are you doing that like just with solder, or like are you reflowing it?
So it's soldering little metal beads to them, and then you sew through the beads.
Oh.
So the thread is the wire in this context.
Yeah.
I gotta think about this. Because I've been wanting to get a sewing machine, like just to make my own scrubs, because scrubs are like ridiculously expensive. I probably won't put e-textiles in those. I think the patients might freak out. But, you know.
It'd be interesting to see what.
That's so cool.
That's true.
It would be interesting to see what would happen to an e-textile if you got too close to some of the equipment, like the big MRIs, or with the big magnets.
Yeah.
It just like sort of all of the thread just comes out and flies forward.
Wait, so it's like metallic? It's a conductive thread.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And is it expensive or?
No, not too bad. I think I bought like an entire spool for like $30 or something.
Oh, that's not too bad. I see. I kind of.
It's a bit a little too crafty for me.
Yeah.
It's getting too close to the scrapbooking side of the world, and you know.
Oh God.
It depends on what you make, though. Like, I've been working forever, like since last Halloween, on this LED heart with with a propeller as its base, and like the concept I think is freaking awesome, but I don't know. I just have to figure out how to do the crafty part of the heart. Yeah.
And that's been the hardest part for me too, is like learning how to sew and making it all look nice. But it's kind of fun because it's a new challenge for me.
If there's any doubt in the world that things have been equalized in the last 40 years between men and women, I just want to submit this as evidence that these women are saying that they figured out how to design the circuits and the boards.
Right.
And they sourced the LEDs and all the parts they needed, and now they're doing the hard part, which is figuring out how to sew.
Right.
Okay.
Just making sure.
That's
Exhibit A.
That's kind of the summary. That's the last 50 years in a nutshell.
Cool. So e-textiles in your spare time, whatever little you have.
Yes.
Anything else?
That's really about it. I'm starting to get into learning how to fly quadcopters too.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. So I just ordered a tiny one from Hobbywing.
Okay.
It's super cute. It's like 6 inches.
Oh, that is cute.
And so I figured that's okay because then I can't crash it too hard. And
so wait, you work at one of the places who has one of the coolest quadcopters out there, and they're not just going to hand you one?
Well, no. So I want to work my way up to that, because if I crash that one, then
you could cut somebody's face off with one of them things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty
so
gnarly.
I can work with the little one, get a feel for the controls, and then I can graduate to the larger.
Did the little one that you get have like built-in stabilizing, or is it just straight up direct control?
So it's an option, so you can do either or.
You know
so
what?
It has what?
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So basically, I was just going to summarize that. But yeah, so it has an auto level, and then it also has just direct fly control.
Cool.
So,
I was just gonna say, in the event of a zombie apocalypse and like cutting faces off and stuff, like with said quadcopters, I think it'd be super cute if, like, as you worked up, you had like little Goldilocks, or no, like little bear, mama bear, and a papa bear quadcopter, and you had like 3 of these different sizes, like all going out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I think that's a really good idea for the quadcopter competition at the next Parallax Expo. Just set up like zombie dummies, and you have to head them in order to win.
I would totally feature that here.
I love it because it's a great zombie defense tool. I was thinking it could be great for distraction, like you could just fly it and then they would follow that.
True.
But I guess then it has to come back and land eventually, and it'll just bring the direction,
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone has done a large quadcopter that can release smaller ones.
Yeah.
They have?
I don't know.
Oh. We'll have
pretty
to
interesting.
find out.
Did you guys see the cat quadcopter?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now that's a zombie quadcopter.
Immortalized forever. Yeah. Awkward.
I just like that he said it was the best way to honor his cat.
Awkward.
It needs sound effects though, like wee.
Awkward.
It's so creepy.
Or just like talks in wall speak.
Now, we actually missed the quadcopter competition stuff at the expo. I don't know what we were doing. We were doing interviews or something.
Watching Gatling guns, I think.
Yeah, we did see that one.
Too.
That one was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Maybe interesting.
So you missed it when the Gatling gun was shooting at the quadcopter?
No, we got to see that one.
Yeah.
We've actually got some pretty good video of it up.
But not the actual... I guess they had a flying competition?
Yeah, they had streamers and people had to cut them. And...
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying just make that zombie head.
Yeah. Hex yeah. And then people will get all defensive, and shaky, and then we'll watch them race in that state.
Yeah.
I like it. Very cool. Okay. So then you're actually, you're working on a lot of projects. What am I talking about? You're also getting your master's. Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says. With the University of Wisconsin.
Right.
I assume it's online, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you feel it does for an engineering degree?
I think it's good. So my undergrad was actually half of the classes were online because they were trying out kind of their own distance learning.
Mm-hmm.
So it allowed me to work pretty much full time at my internship, which was great. Job training for when I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of used to the online learning environment.
Sure.
I mean, you can portray pretty much the same thing through a lecture online as you would in person with document cameras and all of that good stuff. The only thing is like paying attention and not getting distracted by, I should fold laundry, or I can fold laundry while I'm watching this, and
right.
Trying to multitask. And that's the main challenge that I ran into. But for the most part, it's really convenient. And
so they're still doing it like it's like they used to with sending VHS tapes. They're just doing sort of an online version of watching lectures.
No, it's a live like web conferencing system. Mm-hmm. So you can either watch live or they record it and you can watch later.
Mm-hmm.
But still effectively you're watching the lecture instead of like reviewing the textual and information. I just don't get it. I don't get why they chose to do it that way.
Lectures?
Yeah. It just seems so much more efficient to like have the documents there that you're supposed to learn, go through them, learn them, and then you're done instead of having to pipe it through some human talking head up on a stage.
Well, yes and no. Text, it gives you everything from A to Z, right? But say for a certain class, you don't need like L through M or K through, or, I don't know, D through G.
I need it all.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'm a sponge.
Yeah, but I mean, like, assume you don't have to, then the teacher teases what's actually necessary out to tell you.
Yeah.
So
they're using the talking head more as a filter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, I think, but...
Yeah, well, what I like, too, is I like actually when, they work through problems instead of looking at it on a piece of paper. It's nicer when somebody actually just works through it the first time and you can see it and then replicate it. For me, I can replicate it easier.
And they can always tell you then their thought process too through a problem instead of you don't want to read somebody's thought process like
I'd
that.
much rather do that one-on-one with somebody else, though. You know what I mean? It just seems like a better, because then you can ask questions and
yeah. Although I think, and someone else mentioned this, I think it's very smart of you to have done this online thing because in the event of a zombie apocalypse on the campus, you're totally safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, if given a preference, would you still be online for your master's?
I have a rebuttal for that. She's getting it from the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So by doing it remote, she doesn't get any cheese curds at all.
Yeah. But I do go for residency next week, so I could fill up there.
Is that like a long period of time or?
It's just a week.
Oh, okay. Not too bad.
So it's like meet these people that you've been talking to online.
Oh.
Which is nice.
Sure.
You know, life with zombies.
So be careful.
But no cheese curds is no kind of life at all.
Get some cheese curds too. And if you're in the Rochester area or you pass by, let us know.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you can totally hang out with us. Okay. Yes. And now we have only a few minutes left.
Yeah, we got to get to our
actual ZombieTech interview questions. All the stuff before was
enough about you.
Yeah. Let's listen to this. Is what people are really here for.
Right. So top 3 tools you would bring to your zombie apocalypse bunker.
I would say a crossbow.
Okay.
/ learn how to shoot a crossbow, because I think that's the best zombie apocalypse tool because it's quiet and you don't lose your ammo every time.
Yep. So you'd be hardcore. You'd shoot some zombie and then you'd go over to the zombie and pull it out.
Yeah, with a foot on its throat and just rip the bolt right out of its head.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. That's the goal. And then wash it off really well so I don't accidentally, get
nick
infected.
yourself. Right.
Yeah. Then I would also probably want to design some kind of XB wireless sound device so I could set it up remotely, and if zombies are coming, attract them to the sound farther away from me.
Dude.
Sounds like a project for Addie to attack.
Yeah.
So
that'd be awesome.
You got the Parallax sound pail.
I do?
Addie, yeah.
Really?
Joe Grand handed me one when I was at his house.
Oh, goodie. I haven't played with that one yet.
You've also got some XBs, so you should...
Oh, okay. Then I will do... Then
you should put together a little battery-powered remote-controlled noisemaker. So you can roll it across the floor to get over there, and then, it's your button on your controller, and it goes beep, beep,
please, beep. Don't eat me. Dude, I could use the emic for that, too.
Oh, that's even better. Use the emic,
don't
too.
Don't eat me.
Now we have to.
That would be actually the most amazing distraction tool. Some robot. Please, no.
Please.
I want
Daisy, Daisy.
Yeah, or could just sing that over and over.
Give me your answer to. I love it.
That'd actually be I think that would be a good video, is then you just show someone dressed up as a zombie, cocking its head to the side. What?
Dude, that's awesome. That's
I think Jessica just volunteered to dress up as a zombie.
That's such a good idea.
We just need a 30-second clip of you turning your head dressed up as a zombie. And we'll use that.
That's awesome. So, crossbow, XB wireless sound distraction.
Mm-hmm. And then I would say probably some kind of cross bike or mountain bike for quick getaways.
Okay. All right. Certainly respectable.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they don't take much gas and they're very quick, and you can get in between obstacles that are on the road, like thousands and thousands of cars parked on the side of the road.
Could you do a propane powered?
You could. I mean, you'd have to talk to Peter and...
I know. See if you could finagle.
Yeah.
Basically, he says you take a propane tank, turn it on full blast, stick a garden hose between it and the carburetor, and you're good to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, of course, the
Peter.
unregulated version.
Oh,
Right.
Peter. Okay,
Yeah.
and then your book that you would bring to the zombie apocalypse bunker.
Mm.
And it can be any kind of book. It can be a good, like a funny book. It could be a comic book. You know, anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hard one because I love so many books. What's my favorite of all time?
And while you're thinking, I totally should have said like Calvin and Hobbes, like anthologies.
Really?
Oh my gosh, I love Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
That's missing in our library.
Yeah, we used to have one back at home.
I could read
Yeah.
this forever. The guy's still alive, but totally in isolation.
Really?
Yeah, he's like in the middle of nowhere, like painting or something. He doesn't do
Recluse.
interviews. Yeah, recluse. That's what he is.
I can dig the recluse groove.
But
Yeah.
it's so weird because he's Calvin and Hobbes' maker. Like, you don't really. At least I've never really pinned him for a recluse, but
Takes a lot of concentration to be that awesome.
I guess so.
Yeah. I feel like I'd get bored after a while. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess back to the question. I'd say maybe Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Huh.
It's a
Okay.
pretty good book.
Okay.
I've read it like 5 times. I don't think I've
Awesome.
of it.
Awesome.
Then it would be nice to imagine I was somewhere else and,
Sure.
So it sounds like Jessica's all for the immediate survival and not rebuilding civilization.
Yeah.
That's okay though, because we have enough people we have a good split between like long term and short term.
A lot of the engineers are saying things like, I want a Kindle with all of the data sheets,
Oh,
it?
yeah.
stuff like
I
that.
didn't even think that cleverly. I didn't think, I'll just take my
Well, that's
Kindle.
why you're a manager now, right?
Yeah.
You heard the cats. And I gotta say though, if you can do it, then in the zombie apocalypse, you might just have to have that role again of herding the engineers.
Yeah.
Because we'll have
But
plenty
see-
of them.
Yeah, but the issue with the Kindle then is like, how do you recharge it? I mean, eventually
Right?
you're gonna run out. I
Managers.
mean,
Given a random sampling of ZombieTech guests, I mean, pretty much you're talking 80% of them could figure out a way to power a Kindle.
Solar
Yeah.
bike, maybe a bike.
True.
Last week we talked about somebody building a generator using a two-stroke engine and a propane tank. So it's
Yeah,
kind of that
true.
sort of thing. I mean, we're not saving all of humanity, just the clever people on this show.
Just the-
yeah.
Cool. And where can we find I guess your stuff? Your projects or your nerdy show and all that.
Oh yeah, God, it's everywhere. So there's nerdyshow.com where a lot of things get posted. And then there's also, so I have a personal project site, geekcred.com. It's
Cool.
CR3D, not actually spelled out cred. And then, Parallax forums, Parallax YouTube channel. One of these days, I'll also have time to get back to making some more educational YouTube videos, which I love to do. So be on lookout for that.
Very cool. Sounds good. And like the first page shows this like super cool L-Wire project.
Oh yeah, that was
awesome.
my Tron bag. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of putting it in a suitcase and shipping it, and the wire must have cracked somewhere. 'Cause now it doesn't turn on anymore.
Oh no.
So I'm super bummed.
So speaking of videos, with Jessica there, we found the most secretest secret of the universe on accident one day.
What?
Eddie was playing a little flash game called Taco. What's it called?
Taco Mia?
Taco Mia, and it's got this theme music to it that's very repetitive and
Mhm.
sort of bouncy and cute. And if you have a Jessica video explaining anything about, robotics, microcontrollers, whatever, and you mute it and you play the Taco Mia theme song with it,
You don't even have to mute it. You can play it with.
as long as the music is loud enough,
Yeah.
it becomes
The best.
the best videos online.
Awesome.
Yep.
I might have to check into that. Is it an iPhone game?
It's
just
a
a
flash,
flash-
just a
just a
random
web
flash
flash?
game.
Okay.
Taco Mia. Totally. Like it's the front splash screen,
Uh-huh.
But if you just play that with one of your videos,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a success.
Like, I think the one we found it on was with the Bobot wandering around the hallways or something at Parallax.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
She had left it running on the other computer, and it was playing in the background. Just as an accident, they happened to be playing together, and we're like completely enthralled by the combination.
I have to use this and like hypnotize people or something.
All right.
It'll
Well,
work.
we're out of time for today. It was a
Sad.
quick hour, which
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was
usually
a
means
quick
it was a good show.
Yes.
So, everybody, you can find our show here, Zombie Tech, every Thursday evening at ZombieTech.tv. There's an RSS feed there if you want to automatically have it downloaded to your phone or music player, iTunes, whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, that's it for us for this week. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.